Hello, welcome to another episode of Mega Manga Monday. I am Jason Hahn, and today we're talking about Chainsaw Man, both the anime and Chapter 109. I believe we're on episode 4 of the anime. Um,
Yep,
yeah,
That's
it's
correct. Yep.
awesome. It's been a lot of fun. We've talked about Chainsaw Man in previous podcasts, and if you have listened to those, you'll know we're a pretty big fan of both the manga and how well the anime is being adapted and all that stuff. It's fantastic, and we're about to dive into it. If you are an anime only watcher fan, you should be able to enjoy the first chunk of this podcast. We're going to try not to spoil too many things about the manga, so anime only watchers can enjoy Mega Manga Mondays as well. But I am Jason Hahn. I'm a writer for ScreenRant.com. I happen to write a lot of video game related stuff for the site, but I'm a huge manga fan, so started Mega Manga Mondays to talk about the series we love. And I could gab about Chainsaw Man by myself for a little bit, but it'll be a lot more fun if I got some buddies. So I've got some buddies here to talk about it with me. Ben, how's it going, man?
Going pretty well. Yeah, I'm Ben. I'm a comics and anime and manga writer for Screen Rant. And Chainsaw Man is just, I really love it. So I'm excited to talk about both the anime and the manga this week.
Absolutely. Good to have you, man. Yeah, we've had some pretty fun conversations this week, but this one I'm probably the most excited about. We had kind of a lukewarm conversation about My Hero Academia, and Jujutsu Kaisen was pretty good. Mappa is also the creators of the Jujutsu Kaisen, or the animators of the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's been a lot
And
of
the
fun.
second season, if Chainsaw Man's anything to go by, if they bring that production value to the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen, then it's going to be,
It's going to be, I think, as big of a deal, maybe even a bigger deal, because
Yeah.
they just keep on getting better at what they're doing. And also, the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen has some awesome story stuff to go through. But you can go listen to our podcast on Jujutsu Kaisen if you want to hear more about that. But stick around here to hear more about Chainsaw Man and to hear from Steven. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, my name's Steven. I write for the anime, comics, and manga section of Screen Rant, as well as interviews, doing some interviews as well. But yeah, massive fan of Chainsaw Man. Like I was saying before we started recording, I am going through the weird experience where I am enjoying the anime more than the manga, which never happens. I'm not saying that the manga isn't good, but it's just they're really hitting the ball out of the park with Chainsaw Man, the anime. It's just, so good.
Yeah, we'll probably dive more into the anime versus the manga once we get into the manga chat. But we'll dive right into the new episode of the anime. The last episode we ended on, Denji had been betrayed, dun dun dun, by Power, who Power had made a deal with the Bat Devil to rescue her cat. The first thing she has seemingly ever really cared about. And this episode kind of gave us a little bit more of a glimpse into her surviving in the world, just like eating animals. And she found a scrawny little cat that we met last time. And she kind of meowy. She kind of realized that she loves blood, the consistency of it, the taste of it, the mortality it represents, and it was having her friend Meowie taken away from her that made her realize that she also, likes the warmth of blood. Just it makes her feel warm, and it was kind of a tender moment. But seeing Power being all feral and running around just trying to survive was a nice little glimpse, kind of into pre-Makima, pre-Chainsaw Man era Power. And I was all about it. So then we cut to Denji saving her from the Bat Devil, who's just in pieces all over the street. And Power's just like, why would you go so far? Why would you do all this? And just got to touch some boobs. And then another devil shows up, and we get another amazing animated cutscene. Denji's kind of a little low power from his previous fight, and I really loved he just has enough blood to have a little tiny chainsaw come out of his forehead. So watching him jumping around and just like headbutting this thing to get any sort of damage was really cool. But I think that this fight scene was one of the best fight scenes that they've done in the series so far. Just with all
Yeah,
the
and they actually expanded the fight from the manga. Like it was not nearly this detailed and complex in the manga. It was just kind of like Denji fights the Leech Devil for a bit and gets impaled. But they definitely went above and beyond with this fight.
Yeah, just like the animation style of just like adding in all the smoke and the transitions and all these tendrils going around, Denji jumping from tendril to tendril and them destroying like a whole city block. And I think one of my favorite bits was watching Denji just getting all fired up, talking about like, all right, well, you had a dream, I have a dream, let's have a dream off. And he's actively like dream battle, and he's like actively slipping and sliding on all the bat devil's intestines and stuff. And oh man, it was a really fun one.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think I was actually one of my favorite scenes from the previous episode. I believe the whole noodle scene, as I like to call it. I'm almost thinking that the part where Denji's arm blows off might be my favorite now, just because of just they're capturing his facial expressions so much more. Like, I mean, obviously, I mean, there's only so much you can do in a manga panel. But it just really brings to life his character in just a fun, hilarious way, and I'm just enjoying that ride completely, especially in that scene.
Yeah, I'm just consistently entertained by what new levels of naivety that Denji has. Like he just has a very simple goal, and that was another one of my favorite parts. Was we got a lot more backstory, and we got to kind of honestly wake up with Aki and see what his morning routine is. And I'm just
That
like,
was cool.
I just really enjoyed like the calm, especially after the battle we just witnessed. Like the calm, relaxing. I was just like, oh man, that seems like a perfect morning minus the cigarette for me. But
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the episode personally. Just that, going all in on the animation of like making the coffee and like, cutting up those onions and it. I mean,
Putting
it
his
was
top
just
knot up.
great.
in the top
And
knot.
just him putting his top knot
Oh,
up.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
really
the
cool.
ponytail and
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah, it was just like one of those oddly satisfying things. Like I don't know if there's like a whole subreddit where it's just like you put down a marble and it just instantly goes into like the perfect spot or something like that. It's just oddly satisfying, and this episode
Well,
had that.
And it
Yeah,
also go ahead.
it reminded me of things like Better Call Saul, which are very good at like taking the mundane and making it very cinematic, even though it's just a mundane task going on. And that's what I sort of had the impression of here. But I didn't mean to interrupt.
it also just follows Fujimoto's style too. I mean, like we've seen in how he's drawn various manga panels, not just in Chainsaw Man, but his other one shots as well. It's just the mundane is something that Fujimoto, the mangaka, is very interested in capturing those subtle moments to mean so much more. So it's just great getting to see that in a different context, and I'm sure that Fujimoto approves of it.
Well, and it just really, really, really shows like how good the anime company is at pacing their episodes.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we instantly just start with like the craziest fight scene we've seen in the series so far, and then Aki shows up, and as soon as he shows up, the fight is done. We get to see his powers on display, which were awesome, and of course, like cooler than I could have imagined. Just how they designed it, and you just see his hand show up, and then everything gets quiet.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, it was awesome. But I really, really enjoyed, just to kind of go back to the pacing, like all of that insanity happens. And then we cut to like Aki having a good conversation with Denji. Denji kind of covers for power. And and then we get the whole, going through Aki's routine while he's waking up, and then as he's outside enjoying himself, then we notice Denji is there too. And Denji isn't nearly as disruptive. They've seemed to have gotten some sort of, friendship. I don't know if we want to go all the way to say friendship yet, but just an understanding that this is we have to kind of work as a team, and you need to do what I say. And Denji's just like, I'll consider it. But yeah, Denji's just kind of hanging out, having some toast. Hey, what's for lunch? Hanging out. And then suddenly you hear the door getting beaten on, somebody smashing on the door. And I won't get into the foreshadowing spoilers here, but I loved, for anybody who knows, Denji's just like, is that a devil at the door? And he they're checking out the door, and then suddenly the handle just explodes, and Power is there with Meowie, and we have finally gotten to what a lot of favorite people's part of this whole series are, and Aki, Denji, and Power all living in the same apartment together. And Power doesn't like to flush the toilet. She only likes to flush her turds every once in a while. She only likes to bathe every once in a while. And just the worst roommate imaginable.
The best one at the same time.
Well, no. I gotta say no, because even
No,
no, not yet.
I would love to live with Power. I would live with Power. I
You
would
say that now, but like,
Yeah.
if you had to deal with her stench,
Right. I'm glad that the sense of smell isn't something that we've carried over into entertainment. Like, there's a lot of video games I wish I would never be able to smell. So I'm glad that that's not something we've tried to replicate in
yeah.
yet. Don't put that evil out there.
I will say though, like something interesting though that happens before this, is that whole meeting where Aki is reporting to Makima. That doesn't happen in the original manga. And actually, I did 2 articles just based on that one scene, just because it adds a lot of context that the manga never did. Like one, there's like crazy foreshadowing that was included in that scene. Just the whole thing about, and of course I won't get into it, like what it means, but the whole mention about gun flesh, that's completely new. And it's just a great form of foreshadowing for what's to come next, especially since it wasn't in the manga. So it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, manga readers are like, oh, I know what they're talking about. And, those people who are watching the anime,
Oh man.
and obviously they're seeing the subtitles, they'll probably notice that gun is uppercase and not lowercase. And they'll be like, oh, what does that mean? So there's just some really fun extra little Easter eggs that the anime has been throwing in there that wasn't in the manga originally.
Are you suggesting a Sonic the Hedgehog crossover?
Huh?
Isn't,
Wait, what?
Isn't there like a evil corporation in Sonic the Hedgehog called Gun?
Oh, that's game stuff. Yeah, that's game stuff.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, I wasn't sure if that was all related.
No,
I,
man.
I know Sonic is your jam, so I had to throw that little haha in there. But yeah, great point. I forgot that totally wasn't in the manga, and it kind of relates to another thing that I was thinking while I was watching this episode. And of course, I said I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but this isn't going to spoil things. I'm just saying, like, Aki, I feel so much closer to Aki.
Yes.
In the anime than I did in the manga. He has some pretty great story stuff happen a little later on. And I've always liked Aki, but he wasn't a character that I was just like, oh my god, what's going on in this guy's head and stuff like that. And the anime has just added like so much more detail into him and his life, and I just feel so much more connected to him than I did throughout the series. While I was reading it. And I can't just say like, oh, it's because it's an anime versus the manga. It's just like, there's definitely a lot of characters throughout the manga while I was reading that I was really attached to. And one of them is Power. So, but yeah.
And also, I mean, that scene too, I mean, it adds like just what you were saying, to Aki's character, just because I mean, obviously in the hospital scene, which is in the manga, like we know that Aki is giving Denji some space, if you would, just because but it's all on one condition. It's like, I'll let this slip, I'll let this slide as long as you follow this one condition, right? And so we know that he's kind of being a little bit more lenient with Denji, but in that meeting that he has with Makima, even though we already know that meeting is going to happen or was going to happen, it just kind of humanizes that moment even more, because we see him standing up for Denji, even though we know it's on that one condition. It's just the fact that we actually see him do it makes us feel like he's closer to Denji.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, like you said, they're just building into his character so much more and making you feel for him more than you did in the manga. Because I was the same way. Like, I was always like,
was I the only Aki enjoyer in the
yeah, well, I mean,
manga?
at least from the beginning. At the beginning, like, I was just like, oh, he's kind of like a Megumi type of thing.
Yeah,
that's why I liked him.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like Megumi's cool, but it's like, I mean, what's really the difference? At the beginning.
Jujutsu Kaisen, Jujutsu Kaisen character.
And so, I mean, it wasn't until the later chapters, especially when we learn more about his other powers, that's when I really got invested in his character.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just always liked his design and also his relationship with Denji. And then when we got to see his power, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then when we got to see more developments down the road with Aki, I was like, okay, yeah, this is cementing him as a character I really like. But I liked him from the start.
Yeah, I could say I never disliked Aki. I just always felt like he just felt so similar to so many other anime characters or manga characters that I had already had strong, feelings about. So
I feel like that's just because he's the straight man, right?
Exactly. You nailed it.
And I feel like
that's always a problem. Yeah.
I always liked the straight man in these sorts of series. So I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think, I mean, what I don't want to I don't want to spoil anything, but what will happen in the next episode is really what started cementing him, because it's really his relationship with not just Denji but with other characters as well, and how they view him. Like the whole thing, I'm just going to say the cigarette, like this whole thing, like the meaning of the cigarette and what that signifies with him and another devil hunter. That is really, he was one of those characters where he was great because of what he meant to another character. For a while, for me at least, he didn't really stand on his own 2 feet until later. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that kind of brings up we got to meet a couple other devil hunters in this episode.
Yeah,
I was very happy about that.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for them.
Just a little tease, I wouldn't say to spoiler, but we'll be getting to spend a lot more time with those characters, hopefully within the next couple episodes. There's definitely a little arc coming up that I'm really hoping that the anime doesn't skip. Because
God, I can't. No,
they won't.
If you're talking about the levels or that building with the levels, that's not being skipped. No, hell no.
I think they might take an eternity covering it, but
See, this is
why. What did I say?
This is why we have Ben on the podcast. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, that little glimpse, and I really, really enjoyed how they handled the end of this episode too. Other than the outro,
I know Ben has another opinion on that. Well, I know you liked it, but you said something.
No, I liked it, but I wanted them to end just a little bit later in the series
for understandable reasons.
Yeah, but I mean, this is fine too. Like, it's all in how they pull it off, and they executed it very well. It's a good cliffhanger for anime onlys, and I'm sure that next week they'll pull off that moment very well and run with it.
And I didn't even realize that happened this early. I actually thought that this moment happened late. I was like, because it's like, oh wow, this actually was pretty early. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, yeah, it's a major moment for Denji,
Yeah.
and honestly, it's kind of a major moment for Power too. I think they both realize something from what's about to transpire. But I couldn't get over like Denji is actively trying to get her turds unclogged from the toilet.
Hmm.
I think it wasn't even he was getting them unclogged at that point. I think he was scraping out the. Well, I don't want to get too gross, but I
He's
think they
cleaning
left
out the
things
toilet.
behind after they were done and flushed, and he had to clean the remainders.
It's just literally like the least romantic setting you can imagine. Like, hey, you can fondle my boobs exactly 3 times, and I'm gonna sit on this toilet that is
Yeah.
currently being cleaned out with my turds right now. It's
Well,
just
it's kind of perfect too. Like the setting is perfect for what
yeah.
it ends up representing.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I will say I saw a lot of people complaining that they changed the manga panel a little bit in the
what?
adaptation, and they didn't include Power's foot,
Oh,
which I think might
Oh
be on
wow.
them and not on the critics, that is, than on the
wait, do these
anime
people have
itself.
like a feet fetish? Are
Gonna
these like?
sneeze.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, but a lot of people were complaining. So I
Oh,
thought
I'm
I'd bring it
looking
up.
at it. Yeah, it is pretty. It is in the foreground. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's weird. I mean, for me, that's not the focal point, but
No, it's not. But
Yeah.
it's just I found it funny that a lot of people, or I saw a lot of people, like complaining about it. So
I think
I didn't even realize it when I saw the scene, but then they said it, and I was like, oh, I guess they did change it a little bit.
I honestly think that there's probably a very, very small amount of people out there who are legitimately upset by it. And then there's
Oh, probably,
probably a
yeah.
much larger group of people who are pretending to be upset because it's funny.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I just wanted to bring that up because it is funny.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and I,
oh,
and I
go
just
ahead,
have
go
to
ahead, man.
say that the anime makes the toilet, the gross toilet, much. It's much worse in the anime than the manga. Like you hardly even see the toilet in the manga itself.
Oh, it's like
Like
covered in toilet paper in the
yeah, you
anime.
don't see any of that here. Like it's just the toilet's just like a little thing in the background.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a little bit in the background, actually, that's a terrible segue. I really like the outro. Power kind of got her own outro. Um,
Mm,
and
as she deserves.
as she deserves. If they just stick with this outro for the rest of the season, I would be okay with it. A little
exactly.
disappointed just because every outro has been unique and really cool. So, but I would be okay if they just stuck with that outro the rest of the series, honestly.
I wouldn't because I know some of the bands that we're getting songs from later, and I'm
Ooh.
like,
I
I
just
want
want
those.
maximum hormone. That's all I
Well,
want.
they had theirs already, and
I
it was great.
know,
But
but
I'm
now it's
looking forward to
gone.
like Eve and Aimer, and oh, it's gonna be good. Especially the Aimer song. Like, I'm really looking forward to the Aimer song. I'm a big Aimer fan.
Are you a Maybird? Oh, that doesn't work. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think of a pun to make with Aimer as well, but I couldn't think of one. So, uh,
I guess we can only
but
have
there,
one person good with puns in this podcast.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I'm not.
at one
Yeah.
time, our punning brain cell is shared between the three of us.
Group mind.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because Aimer is one of those anime artists who I'm like, oh, whenever they do a theme, it's always just incredibly good.
Well, speaking of incredibly good, anything else on the anime episode before I move into the manga, gentlemen?
I'll just say the next episode is going to be the greatest, and I know I keep on saying that, but I'm very excited for the subject matter in that one.
See, right now, like, I'm excited for a lot of things. I'm mainly excited just for one moment to come, not next episode, probably around episode 8 or 9, I think.
All right.
But I'm very excited for that moment.
I do want to hear that, but right now we'll, unless there's anything else about the anime, we'll go ahead and move into manga and full spoilers on the series.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna open up by saying what that moment is for the manga people.
Yes,
when we-
please. Well, new episode of Chainsaw Man will be coming out next Tuesday, as well as the new chapter. So we'll definitely be talking about it on Mega Manga Mondays. But if that's it for your anime expertise, please follow the Manga Mondays podcast on Twitter at Manga Mondays for updates and stuff like that. And let us know if there's anything about the episode that you feel like we missed. Would also like to hear what your favorite parts have been so far. But yeah, we'll go ahead and dive into chapter 109 of Chainsaw Man. We just got done talking about the new anime episode, which is episode 4. Very excited for the next one. But the anime has been covering the introduction to power. We're very excited about, hopefully, what the next chunk of the anime is going to be going into is the Eternity Demon. And we've met all of our Devil Hunters a little bit. And it's all primed for some pretty good stuff. But Ben, what are you?
What are you excited
about?
mean, I'm really excited for after the Eternity Demon when Himeno pukes in Denji's mouth.
Oh,
I can't wait for that moment. I just want to know how they're gonna do it. I think it will be very, very fun to see. Well, not fun, but I'll have fun.
Yeah, its anime adapts puke very a huge variety of ways. Like me and the wife just watched the newest episode, well, one of the newest episodes of Spy Family, and there's a running gag where the wife character in that show is just so bad at cooking that it just almost incapacitates people. And
It does incapacitate. The only one who can handle it is Yuri, who just
yeah, and in the new episode, he's eating some of her food and actively like throwing up while he's eating it. But he loves it because he grew up on it, so he's just used to. And the way that they animate it is just like white. It's almost like he's spitting up like water consistently. And then there's other ones where it's just sparkles. I think My Hero Academia does that anytime like Araka was doing something. I can't remember. I've seen them animated with rainbows.
It reminds me of how Mob Psycho has what's her name, the Tsutome-chan, I think, the one that Mob has a crush on, like when she sneezed in one of the episodes, it was like rainbow colored. So,
yeah, that was actually I've brought up Totally Not Mark a couple times, but he's covered the first chunk of the Chainsaw Man anime and a lot of insightful comments that I hadn't thought about on how this relates. And he actually brings up like a lot of history of Japan too, and how prominent Chainsaw Man is for like the generation that's trying to, pretty much the millennial generation of the Japanese and their plight with trying to find their place in the world right now. And very interesting. Check out Totally Not Mark. We're not sponsored. Mark, if you're hearing this, we would love to have you on. Yeah, the anime is covering it very well, and that panel specifically, he focused a lot of time on too, hyping it up and just saying it's one of the best panels ever constructed in anime or in manga. Is Denji getting a mouthful of puke? Oh boy, we'll see how well that is adapted in the anime. Hopefully this season. But we've been dancing around it enough. Chapter 109 of Chainsaw Man. The Justice Devil has been gigantified, I suppose. And we jump right into her perspective, which I thought was pretty interesting. And she's kind of dazed and confused, for the lack of a better term. And her whole thought process is, it's if bullying won't be around if there's no more schools, and just takes out of school with one hit. She's a giant head with tentacles in her brain now.
Mojo Jojo brain.
A Mojo Jojo brain. Oh man, you're totally right. I hadn't thought about that until just now.
Mm-hmm. I've been watching a lot of Powerpuff Girls lately, so.
It's a great series. And well, yeah, we jump to her, and some devil hunters have shown up who are just some unnamed devil hunters, so of course they don't last very long. We cut to Asa, who is passed out. Very important detail, because a passed out Asa misses some very important details that transpire literally right above her. But this chapter had so much action going on, there wasn't really a whole lot of dialogue to talk about. But
I mean, I will say, I mean, there's something I'm probably overthinking because I like doing that sometimes, even when it's when you shouldn't. It's like, yeah, just shut up and read. um, but I really like the part or the fact that the Justice Devil, she can't read Denji's mind while he's attacking her because all he's thinking about is how he can, show himself that he's the Chainsaw Man. And and it shows, like that he has like a one track mind type of deal and how important it is to him. um but I mean, I just was just wanting to think about it more because I like that type of dynamic where these types of nuances are introduced. And it's just like, oh man, that's probably what it means, but wouldn't it be so cool if it means more than that? And it's like that, Denji just fights naturally. Like he doesn't think, and it just happens. Like that's just the way he fights normally. Like he doesn't think ahead, or that like he's never really been in control of his own actions. I mean, again, it's probably not that, but it's fun to think about those types of things.
well, yeah, if they
I
go
think it's less.
further, it's like Ultra Instinct.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's less like he's not in control of his own actions and more like what you said, where he
like
doesn't
one track
plan
man.
ahead, right? He's just
Yeah.
used to fighting. He just naturally does it. So he doesn't actually need to think about it. He's just like thinking about other stuff while he fights, which perfectly tracks for Denji, who, you know, has spent an entire arc thinking about boobs while he fights.
or it's just the fact that just how powerful these chainsaws are. I mean, it's just inherently a really great power to have, or a great thing to be in control over. I mean, just like, especially with the we're going to be seeing them soon too in the anime, like the Eternity Devil. Just the fact that he's so terrified of his chainsaws, and for good reason. It's like, does he really have to think? Like, it's basically he's just chop things up, and it's usually very effective.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's just really fun to think about those things and like his type of character as well. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I just think it's really interesting too because this chapter mirrors the current anime episode like so well. Like it's literally just like Denji, fighting this horrendous creature, and he just has the one track mind, where he's just like, I'm just doing this because I have this idea, this very simple thing that I'm trying to accomplish. I'm not thinking about tactics or trying to come up with the best plan. I'm just going to rush at you with my chainsaws because that always works. So,
Hmm.
but I really, really like Denji's entrance, just so nonchalantly, just like, "Hey, let the girl go!" Like, just,
I'm going ta-da! I like that.
yeah, ta-da.
I like he's just like, well, I don't wanna blow my cover, but a superhero can't stand idly by in an emergency and all. Like that's
Oh?
my
Oh,
props
oh,
to the translator. Yeah, I like that. I
yeah.
can't wait for this to
Wait,
get
I'm
in.
missing something. Wait, did I miss something? Wait, what just happened?
Oh, it's just I thought like Denji doing the whole like, well, you've left me no choice, and he just suddenly acts like he's super invested in what's going on. It just also
Oh.
mirrors that last episode of Chainsaw Man where he's telling Power like, oh man, that just can't stand
Right.
stealing a cat. Oh.
I'm gonna murderize him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as we, I think we called it in a previous podcast, a giant head erupting out of the school is going to be really hard for Denji to miss. So Denji shows up and makes short work of the Justice Devil, who, Asa just like, asked the mysterious girl to, keep her alive, who disappeared. The mysterious girl who we had lots of theories in our last podcast on who it might be. We think that she might be one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, or some other scary devil that we haven't necessarily been introduced to yet. There's the theory that it could have been Naoya, the girl that Denji has been supposedly taken care of, but the last time we saw her, she was a lot younger, so
She dyed her hair and she grows up faster.
Yeah, which honestly could still be a thing.
I still don't buy it. I mean, I still don't buy it. I think it
I
doesn't
will
really.
buy it every day of the week.
I will next day shipping buy it.
Same day shipping. What are you talking about?
Whoa. So Denji makes short work. We have some, of course, excellently drawn panels. I really enjoyed the one where Justice Devil's just like, oh yeah, I can just read his mind, and then her realizing all he's thinking about is how to expose his secret identity, and just how Fujimoto draws the teeth and the anguish of this giant head, and Denji just running right through it, and oh man, just the detail, and it was just so fun to read. And then,
I think feel like it was great. Oh no, you can go Ben. Go.
Oh, I wasn't saying anything.
oh yeah, I was just gonna go into the next bit about Asa waking up. Well, not Asa waking up, but
no, I mean
Asa did wake up initially, and then
yeah, which was cool. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Oh, true.
And I thought it was really cool how maybe I'm reading too much into this now, but like when she's standing up, you see her like shadow, like well detailed, which I think it's supposed to be like Yoru taking over. Right,
that's pretty dope. No, I don't think
Yoru means like night, and so darkness. And
oh, I forget about that. I did really enjoy that panel, that transitional panel there, but I didn't put that together because I forget.
And the shadow isn't there in the last panel either, which is No, I don't think that's too reading. I think that's pretty cool, actually.
No, yeah, great observation. Because I enjoyed that panel just because it looked cool and what it was representing, but I didn't remember that. Yoru is Japanese for night. Is that what you said?
Yep, and Asa is Japanese for morning. So
oh, lovely.
That's the joke behind it, morning and night.
Well, so we still have the dramatic tension that Asa doesn't know that Denji is Chainsaw Man, but everything is coming together for War Devil here. War Devil, the chapter ends with War Devil standing up right in front of Chainsaw Man, declaring, "Hey, you're Chainsaw Man." And Chainsaw Man's like, "Yeah? What up?" What up? And then you turn the page. And
I wish you said what up. That would have been great. What up?
That would be perfectly Denji. Yeah, that'd be great. We'll see the many years from now when the anime gets to this point. We'll see. Maybe we'll be working as anime scriptwriters by that time, and we'll make it so. To quote the great Jean-Luc Picard, we'll make it so.
Did you just reference The Next Generation?
I might have. We're a bunch of professional nerds here on Manga Monday. It's what you can expect. But the last page here, Denji just, sitting on this, poor, not Yoru. What's Asa's friend's name who is no longer with us? And this is the Justice Devil.
Yoko?
Yoko, thank you.
Yoko.
Yuko,
I think, right?
Yeah,
oh, yes, Yuko. Yuko.
I think I could be wrong.
Yuko is again in a bad situation. Poor Yuko. She was a little head, and then she died, and then she got transformed, and now she's just also dead. But much bigger mess. But I just love how it's not like a actively huge dramatic pose for everything that part 2 has been all leading up to this moment, War Devil finally finding Chainsaw Man, and it's just the way Fujimoto drew this moment is just so almost nonchalant. It's just the carnage around them, and Denji just kind of hunched over and what up? You got something to say? We know that Denji is all about trying to get a girlfriend and stuff like that. So when this girl just arrives in her underwear in front of him, I'm very curious what he's going to have to say about that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What would you guys like to see happen next?
Well, I want to know what's going to come of this confrontation here. But I think next we're probably going to So what I think is that, the mysterious girl who showed up last chapter did something and made a deal with like Yoru, uh, and that deal may entail like, don't go up and fight against Chainsaw Man yet. Um, and so I hope we get a flashback to see what exactly happened after last chapter.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and
That's what
I
she's
think it's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just trust Fujimoto wherever whatever wild twists and turns he throws in there, I'll be all for it. I think it would be funny if somehow things get maneuvered into Chainsaw Man thinking that Yoru is his girlfriend now, uh, and they've got sort of a thing like that going on. Um, but I don't know. That's a bit. That's probably a bit too convoluted to actually happen. But that'd be very funny.
I think that would be really interesting, actually, because there's so many ways that like War Devil could approach this situation, um, and we don't know if like War Devil realizes that this is also Denji. Like, I don't think that she does, but yeah, it would be pretty funny if she's just like, "Wow, you just killed that devil. That's pretty hot. You want to be my boyfriend?" And that's how she gets close to Chainsaw Man and Denji, which honestly could be the way it happens because Yoru's whole understanding of her powers is just like, yeah, anybody who is made mine becomes my tool, essentially. So that could possibly be her approach. I also like the idea of that mysterious girl, showing up, and if it is Naoya, which I could believe it's not her, we still need that explanation of, oh yeah, devils just grow up a little bit faster than everybody else, or I think I brought it up in the last podcast. I'm not sure if we've gotten the specific, like, this is 3 years later after part one, or something like that. Because if it is like 3 or 4 years later, and when we met Naoya, she was maybe 8 to 10 years old, and she could be in Japanese high school at 14. But I think it'd be great if like she showed up and Chainsaw Man is just like, "Oh, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Are you causing trouble again?" Something along those lines, and then War Devil realizes that they're in cahoots, those two. But yeah, I'm just really really curious to know what's going on with Naoya, because if that's not her, then we still have no idea what is going on with that dynamic between Denji and the girl that he's supposed to be taking care of. So that's kind of what I'm hoping happens next. But I would be really surprised if this just goes into a punch battle between Denji and War Devil right here, especially after this chapter just happened. Like, we got the crazy over the top battle. I'm sure the anime is going to make this battle even bigger and better than it was on the pages we just read. But just pacing wise, I'd be kind of surprised if another battle ensues immediately right after this. But again, I could be wrong.
I would just say, I'm still like it's probably happening for a reason. I kind of I like the direction it's going. It's that one of the things I would have thought would have been good is if Yoshida came instead of Denji, just because I really liked that dynamic from earlier where Denji was more of this like unseeable, unattainable type of hero that's kind of beyond everyone's grasp, and I like that that dynamic that was going on between Yoshida and Mitaka originally. Of course, like I'm saying, there's probably a reason why things are being, I don't want to say rushed, but why it's being streamlined in this particular way. And I'm, intrigued on what that will be, but I did like what was going on earlier. That's just my only comment on this chapter.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm, yeah, this is another moment too, where it's just like, yeah, I feel like Yoshida would probably notice all this stuff going on. It's kind of hard to miss a giant head exploding out of the school. But I guess one more thing about this chapter that didn't I might have to scroll through to make sure I'm not wrong here, but Justice Devil was about to murder another student, and then that's when Chainsaw Man saves her. But this girl that he saves saw Denji show up and saw him transform. So somebody knows his secret identity.
Well, did she see him transform? Because he was kind of obscured when he transformed by the tentacle. Which, you could easily draw the conclusion that he's Chainsaw Man, but there is, like, reasonable doubt introduced, I guess, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Well, the potential is there. Is really just what I wanted to bring attention to. Is that we may have this thread there of somebody who might know now. Because
We'll start hitting on him and give Denji everything he wants, and we'll all be happy.
yeah, and then the series will end happy ending.
Yeah.
It would be nice though to have like another character like that in the story. Which is another reason why I'm kind of like sad, like if she does kind of on the sidelines, because I wanted like to see more other, like either new or like older characters we don't really know about, like having them time to flesh out. But that Denji's here, everything is focused on him.
Kushida might show up in this aftermath and be like, and prevent Denji from revealing his secret identity.
Oh yeah, yeah, that is very true. But yeah, I do like that idea though, Jason. Where like, if this girl saw it, I would like her to, just have like another normal character in the mix, and just adds like just an extra bit of fun to the story, especially since, she could give what Denji wants, and then that'll create all this other tension. But I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any other thoughts on Chainsaw Man, gentlemen, before we go into plugs and recommendations today?
No, I just really like that pose that's at the very end, like you were talking about. Like, I don't even know if he's pulling himself up or if he's actually like leaning on them like crutches. But I just do like how natural it is, almost like it's not aggrandized, which would be the kind of cliche. Yeah. I hate that word, but it is just like one of those great moments where like, oh, we just caught him off guard, kind of, where everything's just not always awesome and sparkly and grand like in a lot of superhero stuff. I like the naturalness of it.
Yeah, because I mean it's a moment that we've had teased since the beginning of this part 2. Like the first chapter ended with, all right, now I need to get Chainsaw Man to puke up those nukes, and we're like, whoa, okay, so this scary character's got to find Chainsaw Man, and they've probably got to fight and figure something out and all these things. And yeah, just Fujimoto deciding to draw this moment very ungrandiose. And it's just so casual. I would love it. Yeah, he's just like leaning on his chainsaw arms just to relax. I didn't read it that way. I thought he was just like kind of getting up slowly after destroying this creature. But yeah, I think that'll about do it for our Chainsaw Man discussion on Mega Manga Mondays this week. It's been a lot of fun talking chapter 109, and very excited about 110. And the next episode of the anime, we'll definitely be talking about it on Mega Manga Mondays next week. But you can follow Mega Manga Mondays on Twitter at mmangamondays for updates and letting you know when new episodes are coming out and kind of what we're planning on talking about. But you can also reach out to us there. But please like, comment, subscribe, follow. Any way you're listening to this podcast, we'd really appreciate the numbers and boosts and stuff like that. Trying to grow the channel, and I know that there's a lot of people out there who are into this kind of thing. So and probably want to hear what other people think of the chapters and the anime and stuff like that. So tell your friends. But yeah, also check out ScreenRant.com. We're all writers on there. I've got a lot of video game related stuff. Got reviews, news, and stuff like that. Check Jason Hahn on Screen Rant. And my buddies here write on the comics and anime section. So they write about manga, Marvel, DC, new episodes of anime. Very insightful articles. Might come up with some theories that you hadn't previously thought of yourself. So feel free to check that out. And one last plug on me. I have another YouTube series called Hansi and Friends. I like to stream on Wednesdays and Sundays, play some pretty cool games, and try to create some smiles with some laughter. But check out Hansi and Friends on YouTube. I also have some comedic Let's Play videos of me and some friends playing Metal Gear Solid. Those are a little shorter with some editing. So I think they'll be pretty enjoyable if you are into video games. So yeah, check those out. And Steven, how about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited that the new chapter of Blue Exorcist just dropped at 27 minutes or so ago. It's a big deal just because like the last really big chapter that we got was at the beginning of August. So it's been kind of a while, and it's during like a really big moment in the manga. Like I don't want to like spoil too much, but for people who are aware of it, but like basically Ren is finally facing Satan. Like that's going on right now, and all of that crazy stuff. And his Ren has his relationship with his brother Yukio. Like there's so much more has happened in the manga than the anime. Like they've only done one season, and like the manga doesn't really start until much later after that. And Yukio and Ren's relationship has like really evolved in such like a really intense way that they're actually like I think they're currently my favorite like brothers in manga, like even more than like Full Metal Alchemist and all that stuff. Like I really love their dynamic just because of how much they've grown as brothers. Like it's gone really bad and then really good and then in the middle. It just moves a lot, and so I'm just really excited to read this latest chapter. I'll probably do it right after this podcast.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I'll have links to our plugs and recommendations in the description, so definitely check that out. Also, check out Steven's Screen Rant articles as well. I know you are waiting to hear back from the Chainsaw Man director, but I know you got an interview up with the guy who's been scoring it very well, I might add.
Yep, that one's up. He's kind of reticent, but it's a good interview. I'm glad that it's up.
Awesome. We'll check that out. And Ben, what you got today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was gonna recommend something else, but Steven mentioned Blue Exorcist dropped, so I checked the other chapter that dropped. And we've got a new Shoha Shoten, which is a series that I really enjoy, and also a new Kaiju number 8, which is unexpected because normally they come out every other week, but
I didn't even see that. Ooh, it did. Oh, it's a 0.1 though.
It's a 0.1, but I mean, I don't know. It could be it's 16 pages, so. Oh, but it's a showcase, so it's just cover art.
Man.
Okay, well, never mind. The covers are cool to
Scratch
there's some
that.
great drawings in it though. There's some. I think it's great. There's the Eiffel Tower. They did an Eiffel Tower in there, maybe to the whole like all the French.
yeah, because it's very popular in France. So
yeah,
and
there's some great art in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so check that out if you want. I was just gonna recommend because we talked about Rainbow Puke earlier in the podcast today, and it sparked a memory of another show. But I'm not sure it ever featured Rainbow Puke, but it featured a character that definitely would have Rainbow Puke if she ever puked, and that's The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, which is a very, very fun show, and it also stars a straight man. Because we were talking about how Aki is a straight man earlier on, and it's just a blast. It's a very fun comedy.
I might just have to clear this up for those who are uninitiated, but
yeah, not sexuality, but like comedy wise.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And I'll do another segue by saying because you related it to the Rainbow Puke, that it's completely different from the actual manga / anime Rainbow, which takes place in a cell in jail, and horrible things happen to the prison inmates there.
But I assume that some of the inmates puke.
They actually don't, unfortunately.
Oh wow!
It's just called Rainbow. I don't remember them actually puking, but the title of the series is Rainbow. But
that's unfortunate. But anyways, I think Teruhashi from Psyche K would definitely puke rainbows. But definitely check out Psyche K because it is hilarious and it is a great anime. And it's a great manga too, but the anime is a very good adaptation of it. And in terms of plugs, I have a YouTube channel of my own called YGO from Zero, where I go over historical formats of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. So if that sounds like something that would interest you, definitely check that out.
All right, absolutely. Well, as I said, I'm going to have links to these plugs plugs and recommendations in the description. So definitely check those out. We would appreciate it. And also, those things we recommended are very enjoyable. So if you like enjoyable things, please check those out. And if you check them out and they suck, well, go ahead and let us know in the comments.
Please do. I will argue with anyone who's disrespecting Psyche K.
Yeah. Yeah, find Ben on Twitter. I'll have his Twitter handle in the description as well.
I mean, I don't respond on Twitter usually because I never check it, but feel free to shout at me on Twitter.
Absolutely.
I may answer you in a couple months.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a lot of fun talking Chainsaw Man. I hope you all enjoyed today's Mega Manga Monday discussion. I look forward to the next one, and we'll see you next time.